Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be showing you how to use your camera on your iPad. So the first thing that I need to do is I need to find my camera. Don't forget, you probably have a couple of screens on your iPad if you swipe left or right. So if I swipe over to the right, I see that my camera app is right here. It says camera underneath and it has a gray background with a silhouetted camera. So the first thing you need to do is open that app. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on camera. Then I'm going to make sure that I'm taking a photo. Remember, we're just doing really basic camera skills for now. So I'm going to look down here and make sure that I'm on photo. Then the next thing that's really important that I need to know is where the shutter is or where the button is that helps me take pictures. So as I work my way up the right-hand side of my tablet here, I see this little square with a picture in it. This is going to be my preview to my camera roll. Right above that, though, is a white dot. This is your shutter, so this is what takes the picture. If you click it one time, it will take just one picture, and if you hold it down, it'll take a lot of pictures. It'll help to capture something in motion. For today's project, you're just going to be taking single pictures, so just be sure you click it only one time. Now, you notice that my camera is facing outward from my iPad. If I look right above the shutter, I see this little circle with two arrows. This is going to switch which camera I'm using. So now you don't see my hand underneath there. Now I'm using the front-facing camera. So you can use either. It all depends on what you're shooting. For today, I'm going to be using the back-facing camera. We're looking for things that have textures in them. Before I try to take a portrait or something like that, I just want to work with things. Now, I have a texture on this table, but one of my favorite textures is the texture of a keyboard, and I just love how it's really high contrast image and all of that stuff. So I'm going to aim my camera here at my keyboard, and I want to have this nice angle so I have a cool composition. And the next thing I'm going to do is actually not to hit that shutter over there. I'm going to focus. So notice when I tap the screen here, and I'm going to try my best to stop moving, we get this little yellow box. That yellow box is telling our camera where we want to focus on so that it can focus to give us some nice crisp edges and it can adjust for the light. So before you take your picture, just be sure that you're focusing your camera, and once it's focused, you go ahead and hit that shutter button one time. Now you can see right here, I have a copy of my picture, and actually I can click on it right there and go ahead and look right up on the top tool panel to find that word edit. But if I'm taking multiple photos, I might need to know where this is saved. So after I take my photos, and remember, for today I'd like you just to take photos of things. I'm going to click the home button. Now I'm going to look for my photo, and it can be sort of deceiving because you probably have a couple different types of photo on your iPad. You have this photos right here that looks like a flower and says photos underneath it. And you might also have Google Photos. This is an online photo storage, so we want to use this ones that look like a flower. Once you find the photo icon that looks like a flower and only says photos underneath it, go ahead and click on that. And that's going to pull up your whole camera roll, including the image I just took. So now I can go ahead and I can select that image. Now I'm ready to edit it. So we remember this toolbar from when we were using our quick preview right on our camera. Up at the top of this, it has a square to let me share this image, a heart to make it one of my favorites, a trash can to get rid of it, or the word edit. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to edit this photo, and we're going to create a black and white image, remembering visualization and showing a full value scale. So I'm going to go ahead and click edit, and now I'm ready to edit so that I can remember that visualization and show that entire value scale. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to crop my image. So if you look over here on the left-hand side of your iPad, we're going to start right at the bottom of these options, and we're only going to go through the basic few that we need to get started. This one that looks like two crisscross L's or a frame is your cropping symbol. So you can use your pincher fingers to zoom in or zoom out. You can also use them to sort of move it around from side to side when it's zoomed in. So I could get any different part of the picture. But maybe I need to really rotate that picture. To go ahead and rotate pictures, instead of just changing their size using your pinchers or the edge of this screen, you're going to come over here on the right-hand side. And this is going to let you rotate your picture back and forth So I actually really like that. I'm going to leave it right there. I'm going to click on that button again to turn it off and save that option. As I click on this next one here, you're going to notice that this also tilts it forward and backward. So you can get a little bit of distortion from it. So if you see here, now it's looking like I had a nice shot right across my computer screen. And I really like that. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. The next one here does the same thing that last one does, only now it's going to tilt it back and forth to the side. So you can see here, I can stretch it this way or stretch it this way. And I really liked that first way. I just want to move it down here a little bit more. So I think that this is looking really, really cool now. Once I'm all done with my cropping and my rotating, I'm ready to start applying some filters. So back over here on the left-hand side, if I click on the 3 overlapped circles above my cropping function, it's going to pull up some quick set filters. Things like your original image, a more vivid copy of it, a warmer one, a cooler one, a dramatic warm, dramatic cool. And then you get these 3 options at the bottom. Mono, silver tone, and noir are 3 black and white options. And when we're starting with photography, it's important to start in black and white so that we can really get a handle on showing all of our values. So you can choose any one of these 3 to get started. And it's whatever one kind of matches what you are visualizing in your head. Remember, we want our viewer to see it in the same awe-inspiring way that we did. So take a look, because you're still going to further edit this, but I think that the most dramatic one that I can find is noir. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there. But maybe I still want to tweak it a little bit. It's a lot of white and black, but none of those middle values. Remember, Ansel Adams tells us we want each of the 10 values on a traditional value scale to be visible in my picture, and they're not. So I need to further adjust. Back over here on the left side, if I come up one more function from my filters, the last function that we'll be looking at today are your adjustments. So these are going to allow you to further adjust just certain parts of your image. The first one over here is auto adjust. And if anyone uses Instagram, it's like Lux. Basically, if you look at these little dots down here, it's going to auto adjust things for you. So it'll adjust the highlight and the shadow. And you can see right on my image, it's really changing the way that this looks. So if I'm looking to add some more grays to it, I think adding this highlight down in here is going to be a really good idea. So I'm actually going to start right there. Now I can further adjust my image by working my way down through this set of settings. I can adjust the camera exposure by going up or down. But remember, we still want to keep all of our detail. If you have too much exposure, everything will be very washed out. And if you have too little exposure, you won't have many highlights. Underneath exposure is brilliance. It's going to make everything pop just a little bit more. And this is better used for color. But you could go ahead and play around with that and see if it helps you meet the goal that you're looking for in terms of visualization. Below brilliance is highlights. This is going to let you just your highlights. And that's something that I need to do because I'm looking for some whites now. Everything has gone sort of to that grayscale. So I'm going to adjust my highlights so that I have some of those white values. Below highlights are shadows. Shadows, I can adjust just the shadows without adjusting the highlights. So now you can see I'm pulling in a lot more of those grays and we can see a lot more definition from the keyboard. As I work my way down, the next thing is contrast. That means it's going to make my lights lighter and my shadows darker all at the same time. This is a great way to add drama. However, it also may cause you to lose some of your detail. But play around with it and see what works best. So I'm going to stop right about here. Below contrast, we have brightness. It's going to lighten up your entire image, make everything a lot brighter. And we also have black point. For black point, it's going to make your blacks darker without adjusting your shadows. So you have to be careful with this. If you have words, this is a great way to make them more vibrant, but it can really wash out shadows. So black point is going to address only the blacks, not all the shadows, just the blacks in your image. Then we have a couple that go along with color. Remember, saturation is essentially how bright a color is. It's either going to be purple, or if it's desaturated, a grayish purple, or if it's completely desaturated, gray. Now, Vibrance is going to take that purple and it's going to make it super, super, super bright. So again, saturation and Vibrance go more with color, but if you play around with them, it will slightly adjust your image if you've changed it from color to black and white. So go ahead and move them up and down anyway to see if they get you closer to what you visualized. The next thing is warmth. Remember, warmth is when you're adding yellow to something, so you can try to play around with it. Sometimes it changes depending on if you started with a color photograph or not. Having a warmer color might lighten its value when it's translated to black and white. There's also tint. Remember, tint is like mixing white and a color with whatever you have on your screen. So again, this works more with color, but it would be like mixing a pink with everything or mixing a gray with everything. Here's another set down here at the bottom that's really going to help with our black and white photography. So maybe you forgot to tap that dot in the middle of your screen before you took your picture, and it's a little bit blurry in areas. Sharpness is what's going to help to redefine those edges that we forgot to focus. Just be careful. If you go too sharp, it may tend to look a little bit fake, but that might be part of your visualization. So play around with sharpness so that you have a nice, crisp, clean image, but it also gives you that drama that you're looking for. The next one is definition, and it's very similar to sharpness, except it's going to grab all of your textures as well. So down in here, it makes the silver color, I guess you could say, the silver material of my laptop almost look like it has a rough texture. But again, you could be going for that when we're talking about that drama or that visualization. So it's up to you, whatever works best for your piece of artwork. Now we're going to go the opposite way. So maybe it's really bright and you want that kind of faded effect. That's where you would turn up the noise reduction. Noise reduction is going to take away some of those fine edges and make it a little bit more fuzzy. So even though this is really, really fuzzy now, it's really cool to look at, sort of dramatic. So I'm remembering that visualization and I'm going to stick with this noise reduction. I do still have all of my values, but this looks much more graphic and I really like it. The final one is Vignette, and Vignette is when you darken the outer edges of your image. This is a great way to add drama, but I think sometimes is a little bit overused. So try to be sparing with it, but as you can see, this definitely adds drama to my piece. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop right there. I'm really liking this image. It's pretty cool. It definitely gives me that feel of computer graphics. I have lights, I have darks, and I have that whole range in between. So now I need to save my work. And it's important to remember that we don't just click that home button, that we click this done button up here. When you click done, you're going to see this little pop-up, saving photo. It's very important that you see that and you wait until that closes. But once you've saved your edits, it'll take you right back to this screen right here. And we already know that these are stored in your photos. So you'll look for photos. Remember, not Google photos, just regular photos that look like a flower. And then that's where you'll be able to find your image that we just created, remembering visualization so we get a nice dramatic piece that expresses something to our viewers, but we're also remembering to create an entire value scale in there so that it's technically done just as well as it is done dramatically. So I hope you enjoyed it. I love my camera on my iPad, and I hope to see you out there taking some photos.